On Gaia, you didn't need to manually put on clothes. All you had to do was use the cosmetics inventory, and the system would do the rest of the work for you. Emma had picked out my outfit for me, a white tunic with black pants topped off by a brown leather vest. The material was soft and comfortable. Meanwhile, Emma wore a white chemise with a red overdress that made me think of Oktoberfest. I'd gone once back on Earth. There was lots of beer, and lots of pretty ladies too, not that I'd be interested anymore. Hand in hand, we walked out into the main area. A dim part in the back of my mind wondered what my old landlord Billy would think about our relationship. The old man was a total eccentric with very little common sense, but he always had my best interests at heart. I couldn't count the number of times he'd told me he hoped I found a girlfriend soon, whether it was Jenny or somebody else. "Congratulations! You got laid!" Jenny cheered. "Here comes the conqueror," Hermina added. Their voices were layered with sarcasm, but that didn't bother me. I might not know how Billy thought about me and Emma's first night together, but I had a feeling I knew what Jenny and Hermina thought. Behind all the sarcasm and bravado, I knew they were happy for us, but God forbid if they were just open about it. Ben let out an awkward cough. The big man suddenly seemed very busy with his meat bun, and he wouldn't meet my eye. I knew Ben supported the relationship between me and Emma, but he wasn't going to be cheering and high-fiving me either for having slept with his sister. For that matter, I noticed a blush rising up Emma's cheeks, too. She looked away from him as I led her out and down the steps. "Leaving so soon?" Jenny smirked. "We had so much more to ask about." Hermina opened her mouth, too, undoubtedly to start the verbal beatdown. Fortunately, I had an easy way to change the topic. "I'll catch you guys later. I wanted to know what Hanson's up to with some of our newly added villagers." Emma nodded hastily. "Yep, I gotta go too." I closed the door behind us, and we made our way down the hallways and into the stairwell. Our shoes thudded against the polished wooden steps, but not one of them creaked, to my surprise. After leveling up the inn, the facility quality had dramatically increased. The construction materials used for the floor, wall, ceiling, and the rest had been transformed by the system, almost as if the old version no longer existed. The new carpet was clean and had a dull shine to it that reminded me of swanky hotels. The wooden walls were freshly painted and sturdy, while the solid brick walls were a pleasant contrast to the thin wood that had greeted me my first day in the village. Meanwhile, the floorboards were the same pleasant mahogany red as before, only they'd been completely replaced by new material. As we left the inn, Emma turned to me and asked about a very important topic, our new alliance. "So, what did you agree to with Sonia and Maxwell?" "For starters, we were going to share some of our portal cores. They are going to let us use the Union Hub to create a squad, and we're going to let them train in our Dungeon Hub." Emma frowned. "The Dungeon Hub? Why not the Resource Hub?" "The Cardins wanted the Dungeon Hub, and Maxwell did too. The Resource Hub only provides food, which they can grow with regular seeds. It'll be slower, but they can still make up for it with a crappier version. On the other hand, the Dungeon Hub provides a unique benefit, a training ground for everybody. I also think it's a better deal for us. We need all the human players to get stronger if we want to compete with the other races." Inwardly, I cursed and shook my head as I thought of the other races that had been transported nearby, the Dwergar and the Darkling. We still hadn't seen any sign of them, but I imagined we'd make contact sooner rather than later. Moving to Gaia was complicated enough, and humanity was already at each other's throats. Contending with new races in the demigods' game just seemed downright unfair. However, I kept my worries to myself, as it wouldn't do us any good if Emma worried too. I didn't know the first thing about leadership, but I'd won the Monster Corps event, and that meant I was in charge. All I could do was make it up as I went along, and for now, that meant putting on a strong face. If the leader was confident, the rest would be as well. At least, that's what I hoped. Emma and I walked into the village square. The area had been sparsely populated just a day ago, but after defeating Roman and protecting the town of Prana, I'd gained many new followers, and even